Welcome to the Steve Stine Guitar Podcast, brought to you by guitar-zoom.com. If you want to improve your guitar playing, keep listening. If you want to improve even faster, go to guitar-zoom.com, where you'll find all of Steve's premium courses, masterclasses, and memberships that'll help you quickly and easily improve your playing. Now here's your host, Steve Stine.
So what I was going to talk to you about today is a technique that you've probably heard of before, but it's when you use an open string on your guitar to help you practice your scales, okay? So for instance, I get a lot of questions about modes, right? So I thought what we would do is we would just choose a mode, make this fairly simple, and then just find a nice way of being able to practice this. Hey, Steve, how you doing, bud? So we'll just let people kind of fall in here. Again, I only have a few minutes, but I thought it'd be nice to go live and just hang out a little bit. Hey, Michael. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to use Lydian as our example, okay? Now, it's okay if you don't know Lydian and if you don't know all your theory. We're just going to kind of walk through this a little bit. So, hey, Ronald. Hey, Michael. So glad you guys are here. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the sixth string and I'm going to pluck it. Hey, Craig. Okay? And I'm just going to play along with that sixth string. Hey, Johnny. Hey, Rich. Hey, Cram. Waleed is here. Martin is here. Hey, everybody. I'm just going live to hang out for a little while. I have a few extra minutes, so I thought it'd be fun to just go live and give you something to think about a little bit since I didn't get a chance to go live yesterday. Okay? So cool. Looks like we got a bunch of people here already. So doing the modes masterclass. Perfect, Alan. So what we're talking about today, hey, Austin, is going to fit in exactly with what you're doing. So this exercise that I'm going to show you is not meant to be done with a metronome or anything like that, and you can use any scale that you want. All you're going to do is you're going to pluck the sixth string. You're going to get the sound of an E, okay? And then what you're going to do is on the next five strings, as much or as little as you want, you're going to explore whatever scale. So let's start off very simply here, and then we'll move into the Lydian thing I was talking about. So let's say, for instance, we're going to play, you're working on E minor pentatonic. Now, again, the big thing is you're going to stay away from the sixth string. You're just going to let that ring out. And this serves really a couple of purposes. Number one, it allows a platform for you to practice moving around your fretboard. And the second thing is it allows you to hear how the notes that you're playing are interacting with the root, which is E, okay? So you get the sounds of each one of those intervals, and you can kind of get used to hearing what they sound like and how they interact with that root, okay? So basically, all I'm going to do here is you could go wherever you want. Let's say all you knew of pentatonic was up here. Let's say that's all you had, okay? So what I'd do is I would go up there, I'd pluck the sixth string, and then I would just leave that sixth string alone. And I would just explore what that sounds like. And then just hit that sixth string whenever you need to. Just keep that going. Okay. And if you're learning other positions, this is a great time to kind of move around and explore, the other positions. So let's say we bump this up another notch. Let's say we were doing, you could do E major pentatonic. Let me just show you. So E major pentatonic. Right? Or maybe you're doing E major, right? So you take this and you play your E major. Wherever you know it on the fretboard, it doesn't make any difference. You're just using that sixth string. See? Okay? And you're listening. So it's not just playing, although that's a great thing to do, but it's kind of just the Ratfink shirt. Yes, my new favorite shirt is my Flatline guitar shirt. I love this shirt. I love comfortable t-shirts, and this is absolutely comfortable. So let's see here. Question from Doug says, Steve, are you good with playing to drones or backing tracks better? Also, should we always try and change the rhythm chord changes? Well, that's a great question, Doug. Those are two different things. So if you're playing along with a drone, like with this E, there's two things that are missing. Number one, chord changes, and number two, a beat or a tempo or a groove. And so the nice thing about practicing this sort of thing is you're not locked into a tempo that's forcing you to think quicker. And because there's no chord changes, you're not thinking about connecting to the next chord and connecting to the next chord and that sort of thing. Not that those are bad. Those are great things to practice. But this is a different kind of practice where what you're really trying to do is you're just trying to listen to those sounds. I don't have the best guitar tone for this right now. Maybe I'll go to here. I'll switch my tone real quick so it's not as noisy. There we go. See? You can practice any of those. Chris, you can practice the blues scale. You can do whatever you want, right? Whatever it is that you're working on, you just use that E string as your drone, and then you practice E major or E minor or whatever you're doing. So the great thing about this is let's work backwards now, because again, I have a meeting in just a little bit, but I wanted to give you something to think about, and maybe that's already enough. But let's say you're trying to work with modes, because I saw a couple people ask about modes on here. So let's say we wanted to play E Lydian. Now, real simply, let's not get all confused. What is E Lydian? Well, if you know what E Lydian is, it's an E major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But I'm just grabbing Lydian as an example. It could be anything that you want. But if it was E Lydian, okay, we're talking about E major with a raised fourth degree, a sharp 4. So what I'm going to do is take my E major, and I'm just raising up that fourth. Hey, Phil. Hey, Clark. Hey, Alan. And what you'll notice right there when I play that, I'm playing the major scale with the raised 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's nice about that is you can hear that Lydian sound because of that raised fourth. Now, if I put that 6th string in there as my drone so I can play over that, so I can really explore the sound of that Lydian, and I'm just in one spot. Again, maybe you're learning your whole fretboard. This isn't necessarily a fretboard study, although it could be, right? So as I said before, there's two things that are beneficial about doing this. Number one is you could explore your fretboard, not with ignoring the restraints of a tempo, a groove, a key with chord changes, all those things that you do with a backing track, which are all great. But the nice thing about this is you don't have those restraints, so you can just play. So I'm playing E Lydian, right? So what I'm adding in is the raised fourth, which instead of being the A would be A sharp, right? See? So to drone low E and then see what matches with it. Well, you're not really seeing what matches with it. You're listening to the scales that you're learning, that you're working on, Steve. You're working on the scales that you're working on, but you're using this E to hear how those notes of that scale sound in context of the root. Like in Lydian, that raised fourth is a crucial note to give it that Lydian sound. You see? So you can start doing that over that E. And explore that sound, okay? Over whatever you're doing. Now, if you're studying theory, I just want to get to this too. From a visual perspective, when you think E Lydian, and again, this isn't for everybody, but this is just something to think about if you haven't thought about it before. If you're in E Lydian, this isn't the conversation of the day, but I just want you to think about this. If we're in E Lydian, what that means is Lydian is the fourth degree, okay? Now, again, if you don't know this, it's okay, but it's the fourth degree. So I'm really in B major, but I'm emphasizing the 4 chord, okay, in whatever context I'm doing this, and it's E Lydian. That's what E Lydian is. So I'm really in B major. Now, why would I want to know that? Because if I cannot see my whole fretboard set up as E Lydian, I might be able to see my whole fretboard set up as B major, okay? But then I've got to try and think about the notes that I'm trying to emphasize, right? In this case, it'd be the A major triad, maybe, right? Or certainly the E. So I can't just go play B major and just emphasize the B, but think about it. When I play E Lydian, it looks like this. When I play B major, it's the same thing, but I start here. So there's more, it's the same notes, you see? So that's nice for a fretboard setup. If you're thinking, okay, I got to play an E Lydian, okay, but I can't really see E Lydian everywhere, maybe it's better for me to see B major, but then make those adjustments of trying to emphasize the note E, the chord E major, whatever it is. In this case, the sharp 4 from E, which is the major 7 of B. And again, I'm not trying to confuse you, okay? But just think about that a little bit. If B major is tough for you, maybe you go to the relative minor. So you're thinking, okay, well, I'm in B major. So what's the relative minor? What's the 6th chord of B major? Okay? Anybody know? Okay? It'd be F sharp or G sharp minor. So you might see it better if you visualize your fretboard as G sharp minor. Okay? So again, it's a visualization thing. There's still the application part of trying to make it sound like E Lydian, but that might visually help you in being able to see the fretboard, right? So if I'm playing an E Lydian, and then I think to myself, well, I need to visualize a bit more of the relative minor of B, which is G sharp minor, because that will help me a little bit in understanding. And then I got to find my E though, right? So I need to make sure when I'm playing this, I know where that E is. So I can still get the sound of that E tonality, okay? So yes, it is live, Tom. So if that makes sense, the big thing I want you to walk away from today, because I got to get going in just a little bit here, is using that E as just a drone to practice whatever scale, whatever position, whatever. But then the secondary benefit of that is learn to slow down and listen to each note over that drone, over that E, so you get used to kind of hearing how those notes connect with the sound of that root, right? How those intervals or distances sound. So even if you're playing E major pentatonic, or E major, whatever it is you're trying to do, or E Lydian like we just did. Okay? So those are great ways of being able to practice. And then the second thing, which we just talked about, was if you're having a hard time seeing a particular mode, if you can relate it back to its major, its 1, or its relative minor, which is the 6 of the 1, right? Maybe that would help you in visualizing the fretboard to get you going. And then you're just going to revamp your application, right? If you're playing an E Lydian, of course, E Lydian is the same notes as B major, which is the same notes as G sharp minor. They all have the same notes, but it's the application. If you're trying to make it sound like E major, you're going to want to utilize that triad to a certain degree, and certainly that raised 4. See, and it sounds fine, but if I put that E in there, see, now I really hear it. So if I'm just playing the scale, I might not really recognize that Lydian sound, but if I put that E in there and then play the sharp 4, then I can really kind of hear that, okay? So everybody take care, stay positive. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to learn guitar even faster, go to guitarzoom.com and click the Get Started button to get access to courses that are right for your interest and skill level. Again, go to guitarzoom.com and click the Get Started button.